Hello, everyone. Welcome to another lecture for English 2090. Today, I just want to do a brief idea about characterization and how authors create characters. So, we're going to go over kind of two main points with characterization. Now, in terms of defining terms itself, characterization is a process by which the writer reveals the personality of a character. Pretty simple kind of definition here. It's a literary device that is used step by step in literature to highlight and explain the details about a character in a story. There are obviously numerous ways we could formulate characterization, mentioned in one of the homeworks already about the foil character pairing. But in terms of kind of an overarching way to characterize fictional personas, right, we have two main ones: direct, or what's called explicit characterization, or indirect, sometimes called implicit characterization. Direct characterization tells the audience what the personality of the character is without any ambiguity whatsoever, whereas indirect characterization shows aspects that reveal the personality of the character. So this is where we get the subtext. The reader has to infer the character traits, and we have to use our close reading and analytical and critical thinking skills to determine who the character is or what the character's motivation are. Now, we do see both forms in the most dangerous game. Now, most of it is indirect, but there's one or two examples of direct characterization. So, this line here on our page 8, right? The general laughed with entire good nature. There's no ambiguity here. We can't read into anything here. There's no subtext. It's just giving us straightforward that he laughed with good nature, right? So, Connell does not rely too much on direct characterization. So this story definitely doesn't have a lot of direct. But this example shows that he genuinely laughs, right? So the rest of the time, he leaves the characters open to interpretation. So when you look at kind of the rest of the story, most of how he reveals characters is through indirect. But, again, direct is useful, in ways, especially with short stories, if you just want to explain a character very quickly. Now, the more complicated form of characterization is the indirect. So there's the kind of steal method, which includes speech, thoughts and feelings, effects on others toward characters, actions, and then looks. So in terms of speech, so what does the character say? How does the character speak? What does the character talk about? And then in terms of thoughts or feelings, what's revealed through the character's private thoughts and feelings? And the effects, of course, on others, right? So, what is revealed through the character's effects on other people? How do other characters feel or behave in reaction to the character? And then, how does a character talk about another character, right? So, again, it's kind of combination of speech and effect, but if it's driven by that kind of effect, it's a good way to further kind of create implicit characterization. Actions, of course, are very important. What does the character do? How does the character behave? And even, too, we could look at what the character is limited by in terms of action as well. Do they have any limitations with their agency, for example? And then looks, of course, right? How does the character look? How does the character dress? And so forth. So all these will help build characterizations. And again, Connell definitely uses a lot of indirect. So again, for the quiz and everything, I'll be curious to see what kind of examples you could come up with. So, again, in The Most Dangerous Game, we have this really good quote from Whitney speaking. So, it's a twofold kind of characterization here. So, you've good eyes, said Whitney with a laugh, and I've seen you pick off a moose moving in the brown fall bush at 400 yards, but even you can't see 4 miles or so through a moonless Caribbean night. So, we have a couple of things, right? So, we have Whitney itself as a character. So, in terms of his kind of in awe, right, of Rainford, right? So we have that aspect. So we could understand kind of Whitney's kind of, you know, um, infatuation with his skills or infatuation with the other characters' talents and so forth for hunting. But then, of course, we get, Rainford, where so we see, again, through indirect characterization, through another character's dialogue, right, that he's a hunter and he's a really strong hunter and so forth. And so that is kind of a key issue here. So we see that really good characterization unfold, right? So again, Connell is using Whitney's speech to characterize Rainsford, Whitney is establishing Rainsford hunting skills and shooting skills without the narrator specifically telling he's a good hunter, right? So we have to kind of unravel all these ideas, right? He's showing that Rainsford has keen eyes, right? So again, Kyle uses indirect characterization to help the reader think about these characters before they start acting, right? So again, look to see, as you'll see with the quiz, look to see other examples that you could think of. But the Steele method is going to be a really good kind of key way to think about indirect characterization. Obviously, if you have any questions, email or post a canvas form. If not, just good luck with the semester and take care.